Hi there, it's Christy.
And I'm Dan.
And we're Embrace the Crazy, where we talk about our lives, the managing 4 kids, 2 businesses, a dog, and our lives, which is just hectic. So today we're going to talk about food and how that brings us together as a family. And this is a really passionate topic for me, and it probably is for Dan as well. We love food. We think food's amazing. Dan will remember what we ate for dinner 10 years ago when we were on holidays. It is crazy. Dan loves food so much. So this is a good topic for both he and I. So today we're going to talk about the family table and what that looks like in our family, what we eat and cook, and the way we eat and how that interacts with our family. So to kick off, the family table is an important part of our lives. It's an important part of our home. And as you can imagine, we have quite a large table. So a meal is not just a meal at our family table. We talk, we laugh, we have a really good relationship with our family table and just with our kitchen generally. You know, we're doing some renovations and we want to have a big island bench where everybody can congregate. You know, the kitchen's the heart of the home, and particularly the dining table for us is a huge part of our lives. So Dan's nodding away there, so that obviously he agrees. So the things that happen at our table, yes, we eat, and yes, we consume food and drink, and we have conversations. But it also, we're teaching our kids certain things. We're teaching them manners, how to behave, how to eat with people, and also it provides connection for our family.
I want to jump in, Christy.
Yeah.
I want to jump in and just talk a little bit about add to what you've just talked about around the family table, but really bring some nice memories around our family into this. And I'm actually going to think about when I was growing up, and I'm hoping it might conjure up some of your great stories as well. But there are so many just really fun moments as a family that we had around the table, and they weren't the amazing, look at this, we just did this great experience. They were just the life experiences. Like, I remember having almost a fist fight with my brother one time at the table and pushing him out of the way, and we were both standing up, and this is at our family table. I remember having friends over that weren't friends who were just swearing and just talking terribly in front of our family, and we were just like, couldn't believe it. I remember my sister hiding her food because she didn't want to eat some potato, and she was putting it underneath the table and then hiding it in a bin. There's so many fun stories where you just think about how nice it was that we were all together and that we were all having fun, laughing, and some memories that we remember forever.
Yeah, and there's one from your family that even I'm part of, but when your parents moved from your family home that you all grew up in, under the table, they noticed someone had written under the table the name of another one of your siblings, which caused great hilarity in your family. And yeah, even I have great memories of sitting around your family table when we first started dating, and that was a beautiful, beautiful time. And I remember the first time I met your family, your mum put on this beautiful, beautiful dinner, and that was my entrance into your family, is sitting around your family table. So,
and what about the great experience when we were at your grandparents' house and we were with your very extended family? So it was a massive amount of people around, and your dad sat down on that chair with that red wine, and the chair fell through, and the wine went all over the carpet. Everywhere. It was an absolute disaster. There's just so many funny moments and so many great life moments that that are brought together by food, sitting together and coming together in that repetitive activity. That there's so many things you just forget and then just go by, but you just have a couple of those moments where you just think, wow, like how special was that, and how much fun was that, and how funny was that?
Yeah, and even going back to some nice memories, and this is about us sitting around your family table and making our wedding invitations. And I remember sitting at my parents' family table making the bonbonniere for our wedding. We had lollies for our bonbonniere, my favourite, musk sticks, and Dan's favourite, spearmint leaves. And it was my brother, my mum, and my best friend and I. We were all sitting there doing that. And again, that's something that we did around the family table. Board games, playing games while you're having a meal. So I remember just recently your sister and her family came down and they play a game, Would You Rather? So the kids just come up with the craziest things. Would you rather be a dinosaur or a motorbike kind of thing? And it went round and our nephews started the game and it was so much fun. And it's all those fun things that can happen around the dinner table that aren't actually dinner.
And remember the awkward moments when someone's partner comes over for the first time and you have a meal with everyone, or when even worse, when the partner's family come and it's so awkward and weird and you're like, oh, can I say that? Should I not say that? And it's just, I think there's just so many fun times and fun moments in your life that are really created by that environment.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point, Dan. So with the connection thing, I wanted to go back to that, Dan, because I think that a meal can connect people on a deeper level, and it's sitting around that table can connect people. And we will often open our home to our friends and family, and we love hosting. And I think it's the connection part. It's the people that come to our table, and we could be sitting on various tables or even just sitting eating off our lap in the lounge room, but that connection with our friends, our family, each other, giving people the time and connecting with them while you're not connected to screens and you're not on devices and you don't have the TV on. They're really, really important.
Yeah, and it really extends much beyond the table. I know we're talking about the family table, aren't we? But you talked about the island bench, which is a dream at the moment. But the island bench, I talk about the barbecue or at the pool. There's all these little moments where when you're bringing people together, you're chatting to them and just engaging and connecting with them. And I love that. I love that. I think I love the part of cooking and being able to talk with everyone and just shoot the breeze and just connect with your friends and family. It's really nice. And I think it's special. I do like where we've got a big family and we've got a lot of people around, so we're always in big groups. But when you're able to break out and have those intermittent parts that lead up to being at the table and being with everyone, you're actually able to connect with people and talk with them. And I think I really like that part because it allows me to dig into how people are going and what they're thinking about and what they're planning. And I think that's such an important part of showing people that you care and that you're interested, that you really want to know about them and how they're going.
Yeah, true. That is a good one. Good one. All right. All right. So now we're going to talk about what we eat and what we cook. And I would say 90% of the time when I serve dinner, the kids will turn up their nose. More often than not. Oh, I don't want that. Oh, that's gross. I don't want that. But I keep making the same thing. I get sick of making the same boring things, spaghetti bolognese, tacos, all the same things. And that's all the kids want to eat. But Dan and I also enjoy eating. So we actually want to enjoy food that we want. And we also don't want to have all the same boring old things. And I don't want to cook 2 meals. That's a very big thing in my house. I know other people will cook that's something for their dinner, for the kids, and they'll feed the kids early, and then husband and wife or whatever, or partners will have a later dinner, which is a more adult style dinner. But I don't do that. We don't do that in our family. We all sit down together as most nights that we can, and I prepare the same thing. But what I'm finding, and I know Dan will laugh at this one, all of the kids, what are we having for dinner? Before they've even had breakfast, they're asking, what are we having for dinner? And then when they go to bed at night, what are we having for breakfast? Like, I'm sick of answering that question. So
I think it's an ingrained thing, Christy. Unfortunately, I think it's a family thing, and I know my mum would be laughing right now, but I remember a story very clearly of mum talking about my pop, her dad, and saying that he would call up grandma in the middle of the day and say, how you going? How's everything? How's everyone? How did everyone get all sorted? What are we having for dinner tonight?
Yeah,
and
right.
The fact that he was doing that, and I know I always used to do that, and I was particularly interested, and this says a lot about me. But I would always ask mum, because I always knew mum's a great cook and we'd always have really great food 90% of the time, other than things like chops and some things that I just wasn't that keen on. But I would always ask about dessert. What's for dessert? And I remember mum having that exact reaction you just had, Christy, which was, seriously, I just cooked an amazing meal for you. Why are you even talking about dessert? But I love the package. I love the experience. I like
Yeah,
all
you
the
do.
parts of it.
Yeah. And it's nice to know that you've always felt that way. And it's, it's not just an expectation that there's no expectation that I cook dessert, but, the fact that you were like that as a child and your mum had to deal with it, that's really, really comforting for me. But now we have a big magnet on the fridge, a meal planning magnet. So we write out exactly what we're having, and then Dan writes what he's cooking. But you know what I've noticed recently, Dan? I don't know, you probably have noticed it as well, how the kids' tastes are changing. So the other day, our eldest said to me, "Hey, Mum, can we make bruschetta?" And I was like, "Okay, no worries." So I bought all the ingredients and I chopped it up. And he was like, "Oh, man, I love this. This is the best ever." So all I had to do was chop up some tomatoes, put some basil and garlic and olive oil, bit of red onion, toast some bread. He was in heaven. And years ago, he wouldn't have even tried that. "I don't like tomato. Oh, there's green stuff in there. I'm not doing that." And there's still several of our children who don't like green stuff in anything, which is fine. But it's good to know that our eldest is starting to change and starting to want to try different things and try different flavors, because it gives me hope that eventually we could have a beautiful meal that they don't turn their nose up or they don't complain about.
And we do give it a shot. We do give lots of alternative options a shot. We often will include chili, although you don't even really like it, but we'll just give them some different variances and always encourage them to taste. I think that's really important, that you'll get the question is, what does it taste like? Or what is it? And I always say, taste it. Just have a little taste, smell it, see what it's like, just experience it. But I think you're right. It's evolved heaps. It really has. And which has been amazing, because those tastes were quite constrained, and in some people they're still very constrained, but I think they'll evolve, as you just said, with our eldest, how he's evolved. I think the others will evolve as they get a bit older too and continue to taste more and enjoy it even more.
I hope so, because it will make our lives boring if they don't. But also what I found really helpful with getting the kids on board with what we're eating is getting them involved and prepping in the kitchen. So planning so quite often I'll say, "Okay, guys, what do you want for dinner this week?" So I can plan our meals ahead. And they have some involvement in choosing what they want, but also helping me prepare it. So, if they want this amazing meal, okay, you have to come into the kitchen and you need to do X, Y, and Z in terms of preparing the meal and for planning the meal, because I think that's a really important thing. Back to the teaching the lessons around the dinner table, there's also teachings and lessons we can give them in the kitchen, and it's not just, "Oh, mum made this meal." It's, we made this meal together. And again, with that connectedness with your children. Our third boy, he loves being in the kitchen, loves it. "Mum, can I help do this? Can I help do that?" He's very capable in the kitchen. He's only 8, but I love the fact that he gets in there and has a go. And, he's very safe with knives and hot surfaces and hot water. So I don't feel like I have to hover completely, but it's good for him and it's good for all of them, but particularly for him, because that's a point of connection for him, because he likes it and he often seeks it out.
And you got to make it fun, don't you, Christy? Like, I think it's tempting to give them the jobs that they can't stuff up, or the stuff that that you need to do because you'll get it right. I always think about the pizzas, and I always think, "Oh, I don't know if I want them to put the sauce on, and I don't know if I don't really want them to put those things on like that." But I always give it to them because I think that's the part they love. That's the part they enjoy. It's the part they get to do. So you got to give them the fun part so that they really love it and they enjoy it. And yes, you might have a pizza that has topping only on one half or sauce in big clumps, but at the end of the day, they've created it and they're proud of it, and it still tastes great anyway. So, you just enjoy that part.
Yeah. And I do have to, I'm going to call something out here, Dan. You might not like it, but it's funny because I normally do the kids' lunches, and lately Dan's been helping out with doing the kids' lunches. And Dan, I use a very tight system. Everybody gets a certain color lunchbox, and everybody has, I know exactly what everybody will eat, and I know that the lunchboxes will come home empty because they have everything that they like. Dan just throws things in. Oh yeah, this guy will eat, and he puts 10 tomatoes in a little snack box. I'm like, no one's gonna eat 10 tomatoes, mate. But
Crackers can go in the freezer, can't they? In the fridge.
and the kids come home and they're like, yep, Dad made our lunch today, didn't he? I'm like, yeah, mate, they did, he did. And I also love the fact that they know that, and they make a joke about it as well, and because Dan's been doing some bit of extra cooking to help me out. So we have meals planned that he organises over the weekend and whatnot. And even that they can tell the difference between mum's cooking and dad's cooking just in the preparation, because I'm very ordered, and I'm very everything, there's certain things have to happen, and I chop very finely, and
you measure.
And I measure. Dan does not. So Dan doesn't do things the way I do. Not saying that's right or wrong. It's just different, and it's great. And the kids always say, "Oh, Dad made this, didn't he?" Yeah, he did. They can tell, but I love that they can tell that whether it's you or me, and I love that they can see that we're both contributing as well. I think that's a really, really important lesson, that it's not just left up to me to do everything, and especially make all the meals. That Dad does some meals too, and it might look different to Mum's. It doesn't taste, for not measuring, Dan, you're quite impressive with the taste.
I always remember when Dad was cooking, because there would always be a few very standard dishes that would come out, which were quite good. They were good, but they were very particular, and you always knew that, well, he'd started from scratch here, and he knew that he was responsible for it. So it'd be the chicken schnitzel, spaghetti bolognese, the Asian, and we used to use the jars or those things, which probably not as many people use now, and then a barbecue. There'd always be those standards, but they're always good. Credit to Dad. He really he had a few staples, but he really nailed them. And funny enough, he still uses them today, and they're still good. I still enjoy them.
They're fantastic, and even the kids, Papa's making schnitzel and chips, fantastic. So the kids even know that Papa has some great meals, and I love that. I love it. It's fantastic. So I think it's really great to get kids involved in the prep and planning, and our kids don't eat everything. They often just eat, can we have a sandwich? That's so boring, and it's so bad for you. But whatever, sometimes it's just better to keep the peace. But I love the fact that
this is a good point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a great point around, I think a lot of us have great stories around being made to sit at the table until they ate XYZ and, being forced to eat all your vegetables.
Yeah.
What do we do on this, Christy? How do we manage this?
Look, I don't know. I think we encourage the kids. Okay, there's veggies there. I'd like you to try some. We don't want perfection in our house. Of course, we're never going to be perfect, but I think if they give it a go, if they try it, and I just keep serving up. Okay, well, I know you don't like mashed potato, but I'm still going to serve it to you because this is part of what our family eats. And if I give you a small portion, then you can have a little try, and maybe your tastes might get used to that, your taste buds. So one of our children loves broccoli. So random, but but if we're
broccoli's awesome.
Broccoli is awesome. But if we're having something that I know that they're not going to, like if we're having lots of vegetables that I know that they're not going to eat, I always just cut up tomatoes, carrots, and cucumbers and put that on the table with some hummus, because I know that that's something they'll all eat, and that'll be some veggies they're getting in. So, I offer alternatives, because, if we're having asparagus and broccolini with, almonds and lemon juice and garlic.
That sounds amazing.
I know. But they might not like that. And also, this is another thing, when their friends do come over, I always offer, okay, this is what we're eating tonight, or this is what we're eating for this meal, and there's an array of things you can choose from, But you know what? I'm pretty impressed. We had some kids over for a party recently, and I can't remember what I made as the main thing, but one of the sides was Brussels sprouts. And I do Brussels sprouts with garlic and bacon, and it's beautiful. I love it. And this kid was like, oh, I really like those. I never knew Brussels sprouts could be so good. I'm like, well, go home and tell your mum, you know. So, you know, opening our dining table, our family table, opening it to other children and giving them some insights into and some new experiences are also really cool as well. But yes, in terms of what our children do and do not eat, that is a big challenge sometimes.
But I don't think we force them. So I
No,
think,
I know.
you know, that's not something that we use as a strategy. I think it sometimes turns kids off it, and
Yeah.
it just makes it hard and not fun. So we don't force it. We always ask, can you have one more of those, or can you have two of those? I really do try and use that strategy a lot, because it's easy to see. And, you know, if kids see, oh, you got to have that whole plate of whatever food they don't like, they're going to go,
Yeah.
I can't do it. And it's going to be too hard. And this is,
Yeah.
not going to go my way. Whereas if you can say have a spoonful of that, or have two more of those, I find it something that they can say, well, that's not ideal, but I can deal with that. And I know that'll get me to my dessert or playtime, which is really what I care about now.
And also the other thing that I think of a lot is I just remind them that this is our dinner. This is our dinner, and I'm not making anything else. So are you sure you're full, or are you tired or don't like it? And our youngest very often is, I'm tired, I want to go to bed, that's why I can't eat anymore. But also giving the boys, okay, well, this is our dinner, and after we have dinner, you can have something else for dessert, but we're not having any more main meal food. The kitchen will be closed, and so you need to make sure that your belly is full and you're not just turning up your nose because you don't like it.
I was just about to bring up that kitchen closing, Christy. I think that's a term that you introduced and it's really, and we try and use it a lot, you know. You don't have 10 choices of this, or you don't have 10 options of this. The kitchen will close at this point in time. So here are your options to start with. You've got a great meal in front of you. If it's not the right meal for you tonight, or you can't eat it, or you're going to be hungry later, well, the kitchen closes. So make your call now, because we're going to move on from that. I like that, because it really makes it clear to them that you can't just say no and then you'll be able to make yourself a sandwich a little bit later. Although sometimes that does happen, let's be honest.
It does.
But it's the rarity versus the regularity.
Yeah. And I do like that, particularly in the holidays, because it can be an all-day buffet, especially in the school holidays when they're home all the time. So I give them very clear, okay, the kitchen's going to close. We're not having any more food. So that I do like that strategy. So yeah. So moving on to, and you mentioned pizzas before, and now we're going to move into the way we eat. And we have rituals. We have rituals sometimes, don't we, Dan? So pizza night is Friday night. Friday night pizza and movie. We have dinner in the living room. We're watching a movie. We bring the pizzas out to the coffee table, and we have some, you know, couch time and movie time. And I think that's really important, because the kids crave that. They look forward to that, and they understand that Friday's a quieter night for us. We don't have sport. We don't have any extracurriculars. Friday night is just for us.
Their relaxing time, and they really like that. I know a number of other families in our friends also do that, and I think it's nice that, you know, some things are just clear, as in you don't need to ask, you don't need to expect, that's just what happens. And it's something that everyone enjoys. Yeah,
definitely. And it doesn't happen every Friday night. You know, we could go out on a Friday night, we could have date night, and then we order pizza in, and the babysitter, they do the same thing, but with the babysitter and you know, ordered pizza rather than homemade pizza. So, and sometimes we change it up. Sometimes we've got something on a Friday night and we do pizza night on Saturday night. But there's always that one meal where we're not sitting at the table, it's fully relaxed, everybody's in their jammies, and we're watching a movie and having a pizza. And, you know, everyone falls asleep on the couch kind of thing, which I think is a really important part, especially at the end of the week, to not reward the kids, but to give them some space, give them some time to A, eat the food that they like, and B, do something that they like. Watching a movie is quite the reward for them. But also, and we started doing this a little while ago, at the end of each term or at the end of each year, sometimes we haven't been so good at the terms, going out as a family, even just to grilled or, the local Thai or something, going out as a family or going to even, a frozen yogurt place, going out, giving the kids a treat. You worked really hard this term or this year, and we're really proud of you. This, and I like that we were able to do that. And I think that gives the kids something to look forward to as well.
I also love the fact that we can take them to places that we wouldn't normally cook food. I think,
Yeah,
and experience food. I think that meal that we had earlier this year, Christy, at the Korean place, and it was
yeah,
so cool. Such a great
yeah,
experience, that they got to see cooking right in front of you. You got to put it on yourself. It all came out really differently to how we normally prepare our meals most nights. And
yeah.
I love that you're able to do that in other environments. So yeah, I
Yes.
think, and that's special, of course. It's not something we do regularly,
No.
but it's something when we do it, we come together and they love it. They really
Yeah.
enjoy that experience and they learn so much out of it as well.
Definitely. And that reminds me of our eldest had, as part of their Japanese at school, the Japanese teacher ordered in Japanese, and we went back to that place and had a meal at that place because he raved about it. He was like, it was the best meal ever. It was so good. And so all of his siblings and us, we were really excited about that. So that was something that he led as well. I really want to go to this place because I had such a good experience at school with my friends, and I'd really like to show you guys what it's like. So that was really nice too.
Yeah, I think something you can't do all the time, but being able to go out and see how other people eat
Yeah.
different food, be able to choose what you want to order. They're all such
Yeah.
good things for the kids, making decisions, choosing things that you're uncertain about and not knowing what's coming out and, just exploring different places. It's such a really important thing for kids to have that experience, and for a family, I love it. Like, that's one of my favorite things to do, is being able to do that and have new experiences like that. So I think it's really, really special.
Definitely. And I know we've harped on about this a lot, but I think it's really important. Eating with our extended family is a really big part of our life, and the stories and the laughs and the kids sit up one end and the adults sit up the other, and the kids, when they're finished, they come and they take their plate over and ask Granddad or Papa whether they can leave the table. They thank us for the meal, and then they filter off and they do whatever they do, and the adults sit around, and we're still enjoying our meal, and we're enjoying each other's company, we're enjoying some drinks, and there's lots of laughs. And I'm thinking about both of our extended families here, Dan. We both have this beautiful connectedness with our families, and I love the fact that we can do that, and I'm really excited. This Christmas we're hosting here at our new house, and we're going to have my family, but also in the lead up to that we'll have Christmas with your family. And so that's also a very big thing in our celebrating those birthdays, Christmas, Easter, sitting around a big table with all of us doing the same thing, sitting and sharing a meal is so important, and that's something we really, really value.
I think it's one of our favorite things of our life.
Yeah.
I think about all the things that we have and all of the people that we connect with, but having our friends or our extended family or families over and going to their places and sitting around the table and laughing, enjoying great food, having some drinks, talk about great stories. To me, that is the number one thing that is my favorite thing to do, my favorite thing to enjoy. I look forward to it so much. I love that you talked about some of those behaviors, because for me, they get tested a lot when you have families around. And if you instill those early and you instill those repetitively, we do those things. Like, you can't just walk away from the table.
No.
You need to go and thank the people who have cooked the meal before leaving. You need to ask to be excused. We have manners. And for me, such critical behaviors that can get reinforced a lot during that process of a meal, and particularly when it's your family there, because it's harder, right? You've got to go and ask the granddad or papa or grandma, Mazzy, or whoever it is. You've got to go and ask them questions and go and thank them for things. And it starts to instill. And for me, that's so important, because when our kids go to their friends' places and they have family meals, those behaviors are there. And often we'll hear our friends say, we can't believe how well mannered they are, or how nice they were. And sometimes we're surprised to hear it. But in general, we know that they're the things that we've been doing and living that come out, which is really special, really satisfying, and makes us very proud.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. And it is so wonderful to hear that what you're instilling in your children is actually being shown to the world. But it's interesting, whenever the kids leave, I always say, when they go to somebody's house and they're going to have a meal, I always say, use your manners, be kind, and have fun. So use your manners is one of the things that that's one of the last things I say to the kids when if they're leaving the house to go somewhere else. And, it's such an important thing to learn, and particularly a good lesson around food and around the family table. So, I think we've covered a lot, Dan. We talked about the family table, how food brings us together, what we eat and what we cook, how much you love food. We talked about that a lot, and the way we eat, and how that reflects our family values as well, which I think is, again, always what we're talking about here on Embrace the Crazy, is our family values and how we instill those in our children. And I think this is one area where we've done really well, and I'm really proud of us as parents and as people for the way we show up and the way we bring food into our family life. Yeah. So
it's my favourite topic, Christy, so let's talk about it again. You know that. So anytime we're talking about food, it's one of my favourites. So let's keep adding it to the agenda, because happy to contribute my everything around it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good. All right, we'll keep your feedback coming, guys. We're really enjoying engaging with you. And let us know if you want us to talk about something in particular. We're happy to have feedback and comments. So yeah, give us a like, a share on our socials, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Bye.